Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another movie review. I'm sorry, my quality is probably very low today. The computer I have been recording with has gone completely corrupt, and I can't plug my mic or webcam into this MacBook Pro because it has proprietary slots and no USBs, which I think is stupid. But I just wanted to make an apology. The camera on this is obviously not that great, and I hope the microphone is all right. Today I will be reviewing The Lobster. Um, and I had heard a lot about this movie. I had seen a couple trailers for it when it was coming out, but I didn't know anything about it, except for that it was apparently dark comedy. Now, in my personal opinion, after watching this movie, I see almost no comedy. There were quirky moments, but it was not a funny movie, but not by a long stretch. It it was more romance and just world building. Atmosphere is the word I'm looking for. But here's the summary. So, the story of The Lobster follows a man named David who lives in a world which we are first led to believe is pretty normal until we find out there is a hotel that people go to find love. And if they don't find love in 45 days, they will be turned into an animal of their choosing. And throughout the movie, he meets characters who become his friends, who become his enemies, who become his lovers. And after a skirmish at the hotel, he decides to leave. And when he's out in the woods, he discovers a tribe of loners. Now, the thing about this world, which we're as we think it is normal, except for the hotel, we find out that the entire world is actually strange. There are the world is based around if you have a relationship or not. If you are single, you are treated as a second class citizen and you are sent to one of these hotels to find a mate or you turn into an animal. And these loners that are living in the woods have developed their own society where they want to be single, where their love is punished, where flirting is punished. And it really creates a much better atmosphere. And after that is where spoilers get in, real spoilers I get into. So I'm gonna stop there. But if that premise intrigues you, I'd really recommend seeing it. This movie is really based around premise because if you don't enjoy a premise, strange premise like that, you probably won't enjoy the movie. I just got a new subscriber. That's great. Um, so my here are my notes, which I have on my phone today. There are a few weird things as when you're first starting with the movie. When David is going to the hotel, when he's there, like signing up and putting his information in, not they do nothing in halves there. They he says that his shoe size is 45 and a half or 44 and a half, but he can't. They either have 44 or 45. Then he says, "Can I sign up for a bisexual option?" And they say, "No, that option has been removed," which I thought was an interesting small detail. It I don't think it ended up leading to anything, but it was pretty interesting to think about. There is a narrator occasionally, which was never explained, I don't think. It only shows up like maybe 4 or 5 times. It's I don't remember if it's in the later half of the movie, but I that's just an interesting thing that they did. I don't think it really changes the movie much. It does give context to a couple more complex scenes, but there are moments where, and this is probably the intention of the comedy, is that a scene will happen and then the narrator will explain it word for word right afterward. Interesting. I know I'm saying interesting a lot. I will change my vocabulary. There is another thing. When he's talking about which animal he would like to be, which is a lobster, uh, the woman in the hotel describes why animals are endangered. It's because less people choose to become those animals when they fail to find a mate at the hotels. And I thought that was probably the best first part. The first best part of the world building is that I guess most of the animals in this world were once people. It makes you think a lot about how it started and how food is made and all that. That was a very interesting point. Um, the main the main focus of this movie is the atmosphere, as I've said. However, it is the character atmosphere. These people, they all seem not bored, but uninterested, as in they don't show too much emotion. They're always speaking with a very monotone voice. They don't show emotion on their face. They don't seem way too interested in anything that's going on. And it's not a bad thing. It really is more of, it feels off. The world is not strange. There aren't aliens. There aren't strange machines. But the world just feels quirky. It's a little bit odd, and that's the atmosphere that really builds throughout the movie. Even though the characters are bored, they're almost always agreeable. They always agree. They're like, sure, yeah, that sounds good. That they don't disagree on most things. They say 90% of the time. They're just like, that sounds fine, or they say yes to almost everything. Uh, Another part of the uninteresting, the characters being bored, is that everything feels slightly slow, and that is another point towards the world just being slightly odd. The delivery of lines is slightly staggered, so there's the pace feels off, and that is another small detail that really builds towards the strange world. Um, there in this movie, there's an incredibly casual approach to sexual things. They just uh, they just talk about sex, and it's another detail that's just odd. Um, there are a few scenes where it would be exciting, where it's action. However, they slow it down. They use slow motion, and they play slow music in the background. So even the exciting scenes are slow. So your heart never really gets racing in this movie. You're meant to sort of be curious on why things the way they are. Um, there are a few. They go to a city eventually, which isn't really a spoiler, but the interactions they have in the city with the other people that live there, the uh, group of loners, they it really raises a lot more questions about the world building. Like they interact with police who ask them about their relationships just straight out, even if they're not really doing anything. Um, there are for uh, the filmography of this, the cinematography. Um, there are quite a few great uses of focus, where one character is in focus, but everything else is blurred out in the background, and it turns out that that character wasn't even technically the main part of the scene, or they'll focus on a small bit in the background and then zoom out, and there'll be people in front of it, and it really is pretty unique. Um, the music in this movie is even that is bland. It's not memorable. It shouldn't be, because that's really the intention of the movie, is for the world to be memorable, not the things in it, um, or not the specific things in it, I should say. The music, it's good for what it does, and it hits the mark, but it isn't something you'll be listening to. It's not heart pumping. It's not upbeat. It's not sad even. It's just like the whole movie is filled with calm elevator music almost. Um, Now, my final point, this isn't a positive or a negative. It's another small detail, and it comes in at the later part of the movie, and it might have happened earlier as well, but I didn't notice it. And is that the lines on roads are flipped. Instead of a solid yellow lines being in the middle, the dashed lines are in the middle, and the solid yellow lines are on the outside. And that was the final thing that pushed me over the edge. I was like, wow, this world is weird. It's odd. It feels like different. It feels almost dystopian, but you can tell it's very similar to our own. And that is what this movie really is about, is that the world might be stranger than we think it is. And that is why I like this movie so much. It wasn't uh, an extreme social commentary. It wasn't action packed. The characters were intended to be bland, and they were perfect in that way. So if you like movies with interesting premises, with great atmosphere and world building, and some some quirky, funny moments, I would really recommend The Lobster. I think I'm gonna give it 9.3 out of 10, which is pretty high. I don't remember if I've given anything higher than that so far. Should probably keep a list of that. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please do go see The Lobster. It is one of my favorite movies I've seen as of late. Subscribe to this channel for more daily reviews, and I will see you guys in another video.